Hello students. In the previous session we have studied about agricultural income. In this session let us study what is gross total income, what is taxable income, what is permanent account number and income tax slab for assessment year 2020-21 and previous year 2019-20. Let us first know what is gross total income. Gross total income is the aggregate income of the SSE from various heads of income before allowing permissible deductions. The gross total income of an SSE can be calculated by adding income from various heads. The various heads can be classified into 5 types. They are income from salaries, income from house property, profits and gains from business and profession, capital gains and income from other sources. When you add all these income, you get gross total income of an SSE. Consider if there is any loss in any of these heads. If, for example, if there is a loss in business or profession, that loss can be set off against income as per the rules. There are some restriction for this set off of losses. Let us discuss that later. Now remember this much, losses can be set off against the income, other income of an SSE. If the gross total income does not exceed the exemption limit, he need not file income tax return. That means, for example, for a general category person or an individual who is below 60 years of age, no need to pay tax if his gross total income does not exceed the exemption limit. If the gross total income exceeds the exemptable limit, he has to file the income tax return as per the provision of section 139 of the act before the due date. That means if his gross total income exceeds the exemptable limit, he must pay the tax. So this is about gross total income. Gross total income is nothing but aggregate income of a person from various heads of income. What is taxable income or total income? Total income is nothing but the income on which income tax is levied as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. Total income is the income on which tax is payable or paid by an individual. Taxable income can be calculated by deduction from section 80C to 80U from the gross total income. See, in this table you can see how to calculate gross total income and total income. First, we have to find out income from various heads, that is income from salary section 15 to 17, income from house property section 22 to 27, profits and gains from business or profession section 28 to 44, capital gains section 45 to 55, income from other sources section 56. When you add income from all these sources, you get gross total income. When you deduct deduction under section 80, that is section 80C to 80U, you get the total taxable income. On this income, the SSE must pay tax as per the tax rate mentioned in the tax slab. We have to study that later. So, total income is the tax on which tax is levied as per the rules. So, that is about taxable income. Next, we have to know what is permanent account number, which is popularly known as PAN. PAN card is one of the compulsory document for a person whose income exceeds the maximum limit, that is taxable limit. And permanent account number is a 10-digit number allotted by the income tax department to an assessee who has applied for permanent account number in form 49A of the Act. Permanent account number is a 10-digit number given by income tax department. Here, this department authorized UTI Investor Services Limited as income tax permanent account number service centers in all over the cities in India. This UTI Investor Service Limited provides permanent account number services, that is relating to providing PAN card to the assessee who want that PAN card and relating services to them. It is compulsory for persons having the total income above exemptable limit and business or profession whose total turnover exceeds 5 lakhs to own a permanent account number. Person whose income exceeding the exemptable limit or business or profession whose turnover is above 5 lakh having permanent account number is compulsory, because they have to pay tax. That's why having permanent account number is compulsory for them. And quoting permanent account number in income tax return is also mandatory. Income tax return filing means a person who is liable to pay tax must file a return with the income tax authority. That authority will calculate the income tax liability of a person. If he already paid excess tax, that excess amount will be refunded by the authority. If he has to pay more tax, they will inform the person to pay more tax. That is the meaning of income tax return filing. So, if penalty of 10,000 is levied for non-furnishing or furnishing incorrect permanent account number in his income tax return. If he is mentioning incorrect permanent account number, up to 10,000 rupees he must pay the penalty. Then what are the advantages of having a permanent account number? So these are the advantages. First one, faster assessment and processing of refunds. If a person paid excess tax, faster refund of this excess tax can be done by referring this permanent account number, and ensuring tax compliance by an assessee having different sources of income can be done. For example, a person is having income from more than one sources. If a person is earning income from salary, and if he has house properties, and he is earning some capital gains, that income from various heads of income can be calculated, and his tax liability can be calculated by referring to this permanent account number, because for every business or for every earnings he must give this permanent account number. For example, if he is earning a salary, he must give his PAN number to his employer. If he is doing some business for registration purpose, he must give his PAN number, so they can easily access to his income. Next advantage is credit for payment of taxes. Here, credit for payment of taxes means amount of money that taxpayer can subtract from his tax. That is TDS or advance tax, etc. TDS means tax deducted at source. Employer will cut tax amount from the salary of a person whose salary is exceeding the exemptable limit. Advance tax means tax paid in the middle of the year by an SSC to the government. They can give credit to the person if the authority is owning or knowing this permanent account number of an SSC. That means here they can refund the tax if he paid more tax, or they can deduct that much of money from his tax liability while calculating the tax liability of an SSC. Next advantage is control over unregulated and undisclosed transactions. If a person is having a permanent account number, the tax authority can have control over the unregulated or undisclosed transaction of a person. If an SSC is hiding something from the tax authority, they can easily find out about that undisclosed transactions if they are having his permanent account number, because giving permanent account number for every transaction is mandatory nowadays. So these are the advantages of having permanent account number. Then documents where quoting permanent account number is mandatory. So where and all you must mention your permanent account number. See, these are the documents in which quoting permanent account number is compulsory. See the first one, while purchasing immovable property worth rupees 5 lakhs and more. If you are purchasing immovable property worth rupees 5 lakhs or more, or selling and purchasing motor vehicle requiring registration, or opening time deposit account with banks or post office exceeding rupees 50,000. If you are opening a time deposit account worth 50,000 or more, giving permanent account number is compulsory. Or selling or purchasing securities exceeding rupees 1 lakh, or opening a bank account or demat account, giving PAN number is compulsory. Or while making payments to hotels and restaurants against bills exceeding rupees 25,000 at a time. At a time the bill exceeds 25,000, they have to give permanent account number, that is PAN. Or next, while purchasing demand draft, pay orders or banker's check by payment of cash aggregating rupees 50,000 or more during any one day. In a day, if the transaction in a bank exceeds 50,000, they have to give their PAN number. Or while making payments exceeding 25,000 in connection with foreign travels. If you are booking ticket for foreign travels which crosses 25,000 rupees, you have to give your permanent account number. Or while paying rupees 50,000 or more to buy mutual funds, shares, debentures or bonds, or while buying high-end consumer goods, or while applying for credit card from bank, company, institution, etc., you have to quote your permanent account number. So this is about permanent account number. Permanent account number or PAN is a 10-digit number given by the authority to a person whose maximum income exceeds the exemptable limit, and a business or profession whose total turnover exceeds 5 lakhs rupees. Anyone can own this PAN card, but it is compulsory for them. It is compulsory to a person who is paying tax, and anyone can apply for this permanent account number. It is one of the ID proof of a person. Next, let us discuss about income tax slab for assessment year 2020-21 and previous financial year 2019-20. There are three groups of person or three groups of individual who pay this income tax. That categories can be classified as general category below 60 years of age, senior citizen above 60 years but below 80 years, and senior citizens above 80 years. So, tax liability for them varies. Let us start with general category, that is individual below age 60 years. Up to 2,50,000 need not pay tax. That means up to 2,50,000 the tax is exempted for general category. Next, rupees 2,50,000, that is from 2,50,000 to 5 lakhs, they have to pay 5% on their total income. Total income means gross total income minus deduction under section 80. They have to pay 5% tax if their income comes within 2,50,000 to 5 lakhs. Next 5 lakhs, that means 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, they have to pay 20% of their total income as tax. If their income is above 10 lakhs rupees, they have to pay 30% of their total income as tax. This is relating to general category, individual below 60 years of age. In case of senior citizens, above 60 years but below 80 years, up to 3 lakh rupees no need to pay tax, that is their exemption limit of tax. Next 2 lakh, that is from 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs, they have to pay 5% as tax. From 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, that is next 5 lakhs, they have to pay 20% as tax, and above 10 lakh rupees total income, they have to pay 30% as tax. In case of super senior citizen, up to 5 lakhs no need to pay tax. Next 5 lakhs, that means 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, they have to pay 20%, and above 10 lakhs they have to pay 30% of their total income as tax. So, this is about 3 categories of individual: general category below 60 years, senior citizens above 60 but below 80 years, and super senior citizens above 80 years. Here in case of general category, it is important, general category is very important. Up to 2,50,000 don't need to pay tax, that is their exemptable limit. 2,50,000 to 5 lakhs 5%, 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs 20%, 10 lakhs and above 30% of total income they have to pay as tax. Then on their total income, surcharge is charged if the total income of an assessee or of an individual exceeds 50 lakhs rupees. Surcharge means here tax on tax, here extra tax payable by a person. If his total income exceeds 50 lakhs, he must pay 10% on his total income, and if the total income exceeds 1 crore, he must pay 15% of the total income as surcharge, that is extra charge or extra tax payable on the income. And if the total income of a person after deducting permissible deduction does not exceed 5 lakhs rupees, that is does not exceed 5 lakhs, a rebate under section 87A up to rupees 12,500 is available on the tax payable before cess. That means here from his total tax the authority deduct 12,005%. That is if his total income does not exceed 5 lakh. If his total taxable income is below 5 lakhs, 12,500 can be refunded as rebate. Rebate means refund that you are eligible for in case the taxes you pay exceeds your liability. Not exceeding 5 lakh, 12,500 is refundable to you. That is known as tax rebate under section 87E. And health and education cess of 4% is levied on tax plus surcharge. On every tax, this health and education cess is levied, that is 4%. That means on total income you are calculating your tax liability. On that tax liability 4% is chargeable as a health and education cess. So this is about tax slab and what is gross total income and permanent account number. So this is the end of your first chapter, that is introduction to the direct tax. In the next session, let us go to the next chapter. Thank you students. Let us meet in the next session.